Hey guys, I'm Hannah Cox with Base Politics coming to you with a very special and exciting announcement. Starting next week, I will be rolling Histrionics and the Base Politics show into one daily series. That's right. Some of you have been asking for a daily episode for literally years, and I am finally doing it. For those who have been listening to only one or the other, which I think is mostly via audio, I'm going to give a quick explanation. Obviously, the Base Politics show has existed in some capacity or another since 2020. I first launched it as my own individual show, doing a deep dive once a month into the most pressing problems society face and helping people understand the root causes that got us there, which, as you might have guessed, always trace back to the government. As that show grew, Brad Palumbo then came on board and we launched a spinoff called The Base Brief, which was our weekly news summary show we did for a number of years. And in that process, we both ended up leaving our full-time jobs and creating a company, Base Politics, which is a nonprofit, in order to do more of this work. We've been operational full-time since 2022, and it has been an incredible ride. As you know, we recently spun off and are now doing our own individual content, but we are continuing to run the company together. Brad is already bringing daily shows to his YouTube channel under his series Brad versus Everyone. And I have finally decided to bite the bullet and do the same. For those of you who have been tuning in to Histrionics, that has of course been my weekly show focusing on women's issues in the political space. This is something I felt was really necessary as I noticed a growing backlash towards women on the right beginning last year that I felt needed pushback, because I actually think it's very important that men and women find ways to get along and be in relationship with one another as we move into a new era of equality. And because I think in order to actually save free market capitalism and limited government and individual liberty in this country, we need all hands on deck. We cannot lose 50% of the population to the left. Nor can we lose 50% of the male population to the far-right red pill movement that's trying to turn them all into victims and make them miserable. When I first started Base Politics, I was honestly always a bit opposed to talking too much about like the gender war, the culture war, just social issues more broadly, because I simply don't find them that interesting. I often think they are a distraction from the real atrocities going down right under your noses, but these things keep Americans fighting each other instead of the government. I would love nothing more than to talk deep policy day in, day out, but unfortunately, that is simply not where most Americans are, and we have to meet the market where it's at. Secondarily, I've really come to recognize in the past couple of years just how much the culture war is beginning to impact our political system, which is unfortunate but true. I've increasingly come to realize just how much social and cultural events impact the way people perceive policy, engage with it, what they want to see happen under it. And so that's why I'm going to continue to work on all of these subjects on my daily shows as they present. If you are on audio only, the feeds will be merged into the Base Politics stream, so you don't have to go anywhere. If you're on that one, if you're on the Histrionic stream, make sure you run over and subscribe to the other. And if you're on YouTube, there is no action needed at all. Now, don't forget, Based is a nonprofit. Brad and I structured it this way intentionally because we looked at other political commentators and journalists and just politicos in general, and we saw a lot of them becoming more and more extreme on either end of the spectrum over time, and we think that that is largely due to audience capture. When you have to make your living based off the internet liking you, you're going to increasingly say whatever it is your audience wants to hear from you. This leads to immense tribalism. It leads to people becoming more and more extreme as their audience feeds them fringe takes. They regurgitate them, and then they keep moving to keep that audience happy. It leads to fewer and fewer people speaking truth to power, pushing back on their own sides, being willing to call a spade a spade. For those reasons, we formulated the company as a nonprofit because we actually want to exempt ourselves from those market incentives so that we can truly provide quality, independent coverage of the most pressing events in society. And so we can always be free to push back on both the right and left as needed. People often say that they are desperate for independent, nuanced content. I'm telling you firsthand, the reason you are not getting it is because it is not what the market is demanding right now. Everything pushes people to the extremes, including the algorithms, which tend to favor hard left or hard right type content. So if you support this kind of work, if you want to help us get these kinds of messages out there, please make sure you donate to the organization. I will drop a link in the show notes. I include it every single week. Your donation helps ensure that we can continue increasing our capacity and our output. We work hard to bring you quality content, and personally, I feel we punch above our weight, both in terms of output and impact. We were mentioned alongside people with multi-million-dollar budgets in the New York Times just a few months ago as one of the top leading voices that young conservatives are listening to online. We're really proud of that, but we are still doing a tremendous amount of work by ourselves behind the scenes. Your donation could help us hire more video editors, graphic designers, and increase our ad budget so that we can get our message in front of new audiences and make sure it doesn't stay in an echo chamber. We know that there are a lot of independent minds, a lot of nuanced thinkers out there, and we would greatly appreciate your support in trying to further these narratives in the society at large. A daily show is a whole lot of work to produce, which is one reason I've put it off for so long, but I will be bringing it to you regularly from now on, though there may still be some off days based on my travel or speaking schedule and other necessary media appearances. But please head to the link in my show notes if you want to easily and quickly support the work that we are doing. Make sure you subscribe on both the audio end or on YouTube. And starting next week, you can meet me here to be based every weekday.